Welcome to QuickBooks Monday, a limited series where we share expert insights related to all things QuickBooks. While today's session is under the QuickBooks umbrella, most accountants will probably have heard some or all of these excuses from their clients. Today's guest is Beth Blaney, an advanced pro certified QuickBooks advisor who propelled her bookkeeping skills into a unique entrepreneurial endeavor. Her magic power, and I really mean this, is making QuickBooks understandable and fun. And we've got a fun session today. We're going to talk about some of the excuses that Beth has heard from some of her clients. Okay, and I bet you've heard some of them too. So Beth, how often do you hear, I have no idea what my reports mean. In fact, I never even run one?
So often. I can't even stress enough how important your reports are to running your business and to making business decisions. And, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what they mean, even if they were to run them. A lot of people will maybe run their profit and loss statement and just look for, this is what my income was. Or they'll look at their accounts receivable or accounts payable and say, all right, this is what I owe. Right. But without actually knowing how to read those reports and what they mean. For example, if you're just looking at the bottom line of an AP report, you're not going to notice if there might be issues like negative AP sitting on there, which I see all the time. So something got recorded incorrectly. We talked about the balance sheet a little bit last week. And again, it's so important. But you don't just learn those things in school. Nobody teaches you how to read a report. And so if you have a CFO, if you have an accountant, somebody who does your taxes, well, they should know how to read these reports.
Right.
And if they don't, you need to get a new one. And they should be able to help teach you how to read them yourself so that you can run them and you don't have to just wait until the end of the year and say, oh, okay, this is my taxes. This is how much money I made.
And you can also make intelligent decisions then.
Absolutely.
So if somebody says they only want to look at one report, what would you say that one report that every business owner should run every month? What would it be?
I would tell them to cut it out. They need to run at least 2 reports. If we're limiting it to 2, I'm going to say their profit and loss statement, and I'm going to say their balance sheet on accrual basis. That will include the AP and the AR.
And what they owe.
Mm-hmm.
It's real easy to look at your bank balance and say, oh, I have all this money, if you don't take into account the bills that are sitting waiting to be paid.
Exactly.
Okay. What do you say when people say the following? I've never saved a receipt, or all my receipts are in a shoebox. And by the way, which one of those would a bookkeeper rather hear?
Well, first, let me just go cry in my pillow for a minute.
Okay.
And then I would come back and I would much rather you have saved them in a shoebox than to have not saved them at all.
Okay.
I'm not a tax accountant, but as a bookkeeper, our role is to make sure that you are protected in the case of an audit. So we want to make sure that everything is right by the time it gets to your tax accountant so that they can file your taxes. And then they're the ones that may be standing up for you in front of the IRS in the event of an audit. And in that event, those auditors are going to ask you for those receipts and they want proof. And let me tell you, a PayPal statement, a credit card statement, those are not receipts. Even if it says, on January 1st, you spent $35.87 at Staples in Hooksett, New Hampshire. That's not a receipt. You need an actual receipt that they printed out or emailed you. I'm a no paper kind of person.
Right.
This right here, that's the only paper I have in my whole office. I scan everything. I give it a naming convention. I can find it easily because I've been through multiple audits with clients. And so I know, okay, just if, 5 years from now, there's an audit, I can just put my hand on whatever it is that.
You can find it. Probably much better than that receipt in the shoebox.
I mean, so that's why the shoebox got the preference to none.
Right.
At least you can get them. But another thing I tell people that they forget about is if you're using printed receipts, like say from a Staples or from a restaurant or something, those receipts fade over time.
Yeah, they do.
So you could very well have an audit a few years from now, and then you go and pull out that paper from your shoebox and it is absolutely blank.
Right. Especially when they're not printed with great ink to start with. And if you're towards the end of the, whatever it is, the roll. Yeah. You can
So I
barely
say, use an electronic filing system. You can use something like Dropbox or Google Drive or, just your own computer as long as you back it up. But there's also software out there that saves it for you. Like if you're using QuickBooks Online, there's a whole receipt capture functionality. You can just take a picture of it from your phone, from the QuickBooks app, and it goes right on in. There's Dext, which is another great one that people use. And, there's really options out there to make this whole process easier instead of let me hold them all and then I'm going to scan them and I'm going to send them to my admin and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Like just do it and get rid of it.
Yep. All right. I bet you hear this one frequently, especially from your creative type clients. I completely ignore my books until tax time.
Oh, don't do that. Please. They're so important. I can give you a million different examples, one of which I'll tell you about. So I had a client who is a coach, speaker, author, trainer. And believe it or not.
Is this someone I know?
No.
Okay.
But funny enough, he and his family decided to sell their home and go live on the road.
Okay.
4 kids, a dog.
Okay, my idea of hell, but it appeals to some people.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice. So his business pivoted. And he, instead of going into corporate locations and doing training, and instead of doing the group coaching that he was doing, he switched over to doing just one-on-one virtual coaching and, and writing and things like that. So I was looking at his books one month and he had been on the road for a couple months now. And, one of the things that we always look for are anomalies in the books. And looking at your P&L from month to month and saying, oh, wait, there was a jump here, or there was something here. And I didn't find any anomalies, which was a problem because I said, well, he's just stopped doing all these different programs, so he should be spending a whole lot less. Now, he thought that he canceled all these monthly subscriptions.
Oh, no.
He did, but he didn't cancel the annual subscriptions.
Okay.
So the thing he signed up for last February that he signed up for a year, well, guess what? It renewed. We ended up going back and talking to all those vendors. We ended up getting him back $4,000.
That's safe for $4,000. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if you're not paying attention to your books regularly, you're not going to catch things like that.
And sometimes, even if you cancel, somehow it doesn't go through.
Absolutely. And so you might come back to me and say, oh, well, I check my bank statements every month. Okay, well, what if you're not looking at your books and then at the end of the year, you have these phantom negative things that we've been talking about throughout all these weeks of our conversations, right? Do you know how much harder it's going to be to go back and fix that 10 months later?
Yeah.
Than if you found it the month that it happened? I remember.
Yeah, I remember at one company I worked for, we had monthly subscriptions actually, and the person has left and I don't think they canceled it, but it was never used. And we went back and it was thousands of dollars and we fought and they said, you didn't cancel. And then we were like, but you can look at the activity. You saw nobody used it.
They don't care.
They don't care. They did not care. Boy, was that.
The sooner you catch those things, the sooner you're putting more money in your pocket or in your business's pocket.
Yep. Okay, before we get to some real doozies, and we have them, very quickly, I'd like to invite you to subscribe. It's completely private. You can unsubscribe at any time. By ringing the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube, you'll be notified when we post new AP content, which we do 2 or 3 times a week. Also, you don't need a YouTube account to subscribe. You can subscribe even if you have a Gmail account. Now, Beth, what do you say, speaking of, having subscriptions that you don't use, what do you say when someone says, I've been paying for QuickBooks for years, but because I'm supposed to, but I never used it? Do you hear that?
I hear that so often. And to tell you the truth, the 2 top reasons for that are fear and overwhelm. So fear of so many things. Fear that they don't know what they're doing. Fear that they don't want to see their numbers. I see that a lot.
Yeah, because that's going to make it better.
Yeah. Ignoring it always makes it better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's really, really, really based around a lot of fear. And then the overwhelm of where do I start? When do I start? Do I start in January? Do I start now? Is it okay if I, yes, it's okay to start now. You should have started yesterday. So if you can't start yesterday, start today. Don't just let it sit there. And, we've talked about as well, I have a course out there that people can take that are going to take them through those beginning steps of starting to use your QuickBooks, and just having somebody be able to show you and teach you, okay, this is what this means. This is what this menu option means. If you click here, you see this. And also know that when you get started, you can't hurt anything.
That was going to be my next question, because I would be terrified that I'm going to hit the wrong key and I'm going to delete something.
Yeah, it can all come back. And that's one of the reasons why we reconcile. When we reconcile, we catch those things that are missing. So it's one of those important steps. So, I should have brought this up last week when we talked about things that people are missing, is reconciling every month.
Right.
But, especially if you're just starting out, get in there, play around. There's even a QuickBooks test drive that you can use. If you just do a Google search for QuickBooks test drive or QuickBooks online test drive, it's a login where you can literally go in, click around, make changes. No one else will see those changes. It deletes as soon as you're out of there, and multiple people can use it at the same time. It doesn't affect anybody. And it's a really cool way to just kind of familiarize yourself with the software and understand, what does it do if I click this?
Right. So you can play around with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's probably the best way to get to learn to use it.
Yeah.
All right. So I've saved the best for last, and we've already alluded to it. What is your reaction when one of your clients says, I'm scared to death to know what the real numbers are?
It's like you read my mind, Mary. The unknown is generally a lot scarier than the known. Once you know what your numbers are, you can make decisions based around them. If you were to go, you're an entrepreneur, and you know that the coaching industry right now is huge, right? It's a big movement. And you say, I want to go get a business coach to help me. One of the first things they're going to ask you is for a copy of your reports, your financial reports. And if you say, I don't have any, they're going to say, I can't help you if we don't have an idea as to where we're starting from, right? And how can you quantify if you've received help that's actually worked, right? So it's so important, and it doesn't have to be scary. There's so many things out there. There's so many options between my training and my Facebook group to YouTube videos to QuickBooks training itself. My favorite YouTuber, other than you, Mary.
Thank you.
Of course, is Hector Garcia. I love watching his videos, and I strive to be like him in that I want to make it very tangible for, this is the thing that you need to do to get from here to here.
What does Hector talk about?
He talks about all different kinds of things in QuickBooks, how to do this, how to do that, how to map this with that. So I think just overall, knowing that you don't have to go it alone, knowing that there are so many supports out there to get you past that initial fear. And once you see those reports and understand that, oh, I'm actually making more than I thought I was.
Right.
Or, oh, I spent way too much on coaching last year and hasn't been turning around so well. Or, hey, look, all the money I spent on coaching last year really made a difference. Right.
So we're going to have links in the show notes below to Beth's training and to her Facebook group. Okay. If you enjoyed listening to Beth chat, then you'll really like episode 93, where she shares her insights on starting her unique business. On YouTube, a link will appear to that to the left. And don't forget, we'll post episodes on this periodically on Mondays at noon. As always, I very much appreciate your thumbs up, your comments, and your shares. So a huge thank you to Beth for sharing her expertise, and to our audience who participates with us.